I was feeling like white pants today. All right. Welcome back to Behind the Dream with your host, Pierce Woodward. Today we have on a special guest. His name is Archer Anderson. I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, but kind of give an intro of how we know each other, but feel free to introduce yourself.
So my name is Archer Anderson. I am co-owner of Urban Sailor Coffee. It's a Salt Lake City-based coffee shop and roaster. We also have a mobile setup on a motorcycle sidecar. That's right, a motorcycle sidecar. We developed that in 2020 and have been doing special events with our coffee since then.
So sick. I love it. I came in probably about 2 months or probably about a month ago. I met his brother and I was just so curious because the coffee shop is so cool. As you guys can see the background, but it's just such a cool spot. And his brother was telling me this used to be a paint store.
Yeah, and thank you very much. This used to be something called the Paint Mixer, which was a paint studio.
Did you by chance use did they do the painting?
So they didn't do the painting here.
Funny.
We did all that.
Okay.
We actually modeled the color of the coffee shop off of the color of the motorcycle.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's called Jasper Green. It's really awesome with all the natural light we get into the shop.
Yeah.
But yeah, this used to be something called the Paint Mixer. It was like a painting class that you could take, and they would serve you complimentary wine with your experience.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was a cool experience.
Were you able to do it?
I was never too interested or of age while they were open here, but they've transitioned to a new location in Park City, and I hear that they're doing quite well. So
that's super cool. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pleasure having you on. I mean, so after I met his brother, then I came in again another time and ran into him. Didn't even know it was his brother. We talked for a minute and I was like, oh, he's the older brother.
Yeah.
And so you and your dad started this? Or was it?
Yeah.
So yeah, and Richie, pop in some pictures along the way. I'll send you some pictures. The cart is so sick.
Oh, thank you.
I've never even did you see that on Pinterest? Do you see an idea? Like, I've never seen anyone have it's back there. I haven't seen it in person. Yeah. How did they come up with the idea to do a motorcycle coffee bar? That's just crazy.
Yeah, I know it sounds pretty insane, but I have to say it is something that I didn't come up with on my own. There are some examples of them around the world. There's nothing like it in Utah that I'm aware of, or most of the Western United States.
For sure.
What I do know is there's one in Portland, Oregon that I'm familiar with.
Okay.
That is run by CC Motorcycle. They have a coffee shop add-on. I'm not entirely certain whether or not there's runs the way ours does.
Yeah.
We go to different locations.
But what even though there are some other ones out there, when were you like, all right, you know what? I'm going to get a motorcycle and turn it into a coffee bar, or did you already have the motorcycle?
So already had the motorcycle. That was something that was planned long before anything coffee related. But I've been a big motorcycle fan since I was, an early teenager. That was something that my dad helped indoctrinate into me at an early age. And unfortunately, something that goes along with that is when I was 17, I got in a pretty bad motorcycle accident.
Yeah. What's the quote? It's not about if you crash, it's about when you crash.
It's about when you crash, yeah. And I was only riding for a couple of years, so it hit me pretty quick. But I bounced back really fast. I felt like I needed a little bit of extra support to continue with my passion of riding motorcycles. So, there wasn't too many options for that. I had a compound fractured right femur. So now I have a 16-inch titanium rod.
Oh, what? Where was this crash?
This was actually right next to where I graduated high school at East High. Famous for High School Musical. Yeah.
How keep going on that track. I'm just curious. How was that like going to East High?
It was actually pretty cool. I have to tell you, I haven't actually seen High School Musical.
What?
And
you went to East High and you haven't seen High School Musical. So do you even know what the pink locker is?
Oh yeah, I mean I walked past it, or I did nearly every day.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, they still have all those things going. I actually used to give tours because I was aware of what places were used during the filming of that.
Yeah.
So after
That's
school,
funny.
people would come by, want to look around, and
That is awesome.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, continue back on the.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean
getting
to
back to the
go
motorcycle.
on there. Also, yeah.
Yeah. So it is a Russian Ural
Okay.
motorcycle from the Ural Mountains. What it's named after. They get imported in from Washington State, and then they can slowly move their way eastwards.
What I'm just curious. What was like one starting cost go for?
Yeah. Well, it varies depending on what year. I got mine. It is
Do they make them still?
Yeah, they
Okay.
do. It's maybe still is a harsh thing for me to clarify, because I don't believe that they're making any currently with
Okay.
all the complications going on with Russia and Ukraine right now. But my motorcycle is a 2013. So they were making them up until 2022.
Okay.
When I was familiar with them, I don't know if they're coming out with a new series. That would be worth looking into. But after that year, if it was a 2014, it would turn to fuel injection. Mine is dual carbureted. It has like a reverse gear, parking brake, two-wheel drive.
Nice.
The
When did you-
wheel on the
so when
motorcycle.
did you get it?
I picked it up from a local person in Syracuse, Utah. I think he was the second owner of it,
Okay.
and he bought it from someone else.
So how long have you had it then?
Yeah, I've had it for about 2.5 years, almost 3
Okay.
years at this point.
Oh, so was that's not the one you crashed on then?
No. Sorry, I should have.
No,
clarified.
you're good.
Yeah,
that'd be wild.
that was like a
Crashes
big
and he just
Chicana,
like
yeah,
wakes up and he's like, you know what?
coffee shop.
Coffee shop.
Yeah,
That'd be
exactly.
crazy.
Sometimes it works like that, but yeah, it took about maybe 8-9 months for the full build out process. We got a custom 1.5-inch thick walnut butcher's block countertop
Yeah,
to go on
it's
top
beautiful.
of the sidecar.
Yeah,
And
it's sick.
yeah, it's beautiful woodwork that was done by Lunacy Woodworks here in Salt Lake. A woman by the name of Dusty was fantastic working with us to get that done. She also helped us with the full bar countertop that we have in the shop, as well as our shelving. She herself was actually in a pretty bad motorcycle accident not too long after helping us with the bike. So when we wanted her to help with the countertops, she was more just there to observe and give us pointers. But yeah, that was just me and my brothers just going at it with sanders and everything. We did all that
crazy.
ourselves.
So circle back. What was the initial what was the I want to turn this into a coffee motorcycle?
So for me, when I was in high school, you get asked all the time, what do you want to do after high school? What do you want to be? And honestly, I was already in the workforce. I had been working for different restaurants ever since I was 15 onwards. That's been my cup of tea. I like the customer service. I like the food-oriented work environment. And I knew that was something I enjoyed, so I wanted to keep on pursuing that. And so I did. Graduated high school, started working at a bunch of different restaurants, doing guided snowmobiling tours at my family's snowmobiling ranch east of Park City.
That's sick.
Yeah, that's a great time. But it wasn't until the aftermath of COVID that things really started to happen here.
If you were in the restaurant industry, and service, I mean, that all just
down the
off.
drain. Yeah, so I ended up getting furloughed from all 3 of my jobs within the same week.
Shoot, wow.
Mhm.
Was that March 2020?
Yeah, that was right around
April,
March.
yeah.
Exactly. That's when all the businesses started closing down, and one of my restaurants closed down for good. Another one I cooked at for a good
Was
year.
it Ginger Street by chance?
It wasn't Ginger Street. I heard that one closed down.
Yeah.
I was a fan. No, I was working at Red Butte Cafe, which is on or was on Foothill here in Sugar House, as well as Desert Edge Brewery. I was a barista bartender for both those places, but also working in the kitchen.
Yeah. So when you like COVID, then how long before, and what do you remember when you were like, I kind of were you already passionate about coffee? Because that was another thing. I'm like what, like you could have done a lemonade stand, you could have done a hot dog thing, you could have done a food truck. I just thought it was I don't know, the coffee just like struck me. I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I've always been hands-on with the food. So I knew I could do something. I was looking at maybe doing a food truck. I could do like chicken and waffles, something like that.
Yeah.
And was on my way to making that happen. But while I was working as a barista and a bartender, I realized, being a bartender is really lucrative and it's good, but I knew that I thoroughly enjoyed starting people's mornings off right rather than ending them,
Ooh, that's interesting.
and I never really had too much issue getting up in the morning. I at this point I wake up before the sun
Yeah.
does and like
Wow.
get to see all that, and I have a beautiful view from my coffee shop. It's one of the best views of the Wasatch Mountains, gotta say.
I'll put in some B-roll right here. I
Yeah.
saw a clip on, I don't know if it's your Instagram or the brand's Instagram, but it was it was just on the wood counter and
Mm-hmm.
the sun was coming. I was like, wow. So
Phenomenal.
what time do you open this? So we'll keep
Yeah.
getting back. I keep asking more questions, but yeah. What time do you open?
I open on the weekdays 7 a.m.,
Cool, okay.
8 a.m. Saturday and Sunday,
Gotcha.
and then currently I close up shop at 3 p.m.
Nice.
Usually I'm just cleaning up afterwards. People
Yeah.
kind of just meander around
cool.
until they,
Cool. All right. So yeah, back to
Yeah.
then you realized you wanted to.
I wanted to start my
people's
own. It could be anything food related. But I wanted to do something for myself and have it so I was my own boss to some
Yeah.
extent. And
Have you ever, before COVID hit, did you ever want to kind of become an entrepreneur?
oh yeah,
Okay.
like that was always kind of in the cards for me. That was something I knew I wanted to pursue, if not like post college, during college. I wanted to go into business management and marketing.
Okay.
So I was saving up money to attend school for about like 2.5 years, and then COVID happened. I was
Yeah.
around like 20, 21 years old. And so I realized, all these schools are starting to just be online. I'm much more of a hands-on, in-person type of learner. I don't think I could have achieved as much doing online classes as other people might. So instead I decided to, take a brave move and put all the eggs in one basket and just see what I could make out of myself. And
So sick.
it was definitely scary. It's one of the scariest things I've ever done. And
I'm glad you said that, because that's where I was going next. Because I feel like a lot of people, because that's why I asked you, had you ever want to be an entrepreneur? Because I ask a lot of people nowadays. A lot of people, like, they say they want to be an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
but it takes a drama or a trauma to take that action.
Yeah.
So like COVID, you lose all 3 jobs at once,
Mhm.
and you have to take a leap because there's no other option, and it's like there's that one chance to, and so nowadays it's just like, yeah, it's interesting because I think a lot of people, especially you see in social media, and you see a lot of more possibilities, and to become an entrepreneur, but a lot of people will still get kind of in their comfort zone, and because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wonder if COVID had never happened, if you'd still be working restaurants.
I actually ask myself that a lot. If COVID wasn't a thing, if that never transpired, I know Urban Sailor Coffee probably
Yeah.
wouldn't be a thing. At least not in the same way it is now. And
Totally.
I would still be probably
Doing something.
doing something like working in a kitchen
Yeah.
somewhere.
We would not be here for
yeah,
sure if
yeah.
COVID didn't hit.
There you go.
Yeah, because I would have not started my brand, and then I wouldn't have gotten to social media. And I
Mhm.
wouldn't have started doing a podcast. So it's crazy how like a drama or trauma or
Mhm.
or not traumatic, but just something crazy experience can spark something
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah, it's turning something good out of a bad situation.
100%.
That's something I like to say. And
I think I went off track
yeah.
again. I think
No,
we were
you're good,
talking
you're
about
good.
so we talked, so you started it
Yeah.
so COVID, you realized that, and then keep going in the progression
Yeah.
of you
So,
got into it.
got
How long
the-
after COVID hit? So after you lost your
Yeah, so I was COVID hit. It was around like mid-March. I was living at a house with a couple buddies of mine, and I was just kind of waiting for things to clear up, like I think we all were for the first couple weeks, if not months. I was starting to get nervous because what money I had saved away for rent and stuff. Like I was good, but I wasn't gaining anything. I was just seeing myself go down the drain, and I knew I could only do that for so long. I ended up putting into motion a couple plans to get the bike worked on by Lunacy Woodwork, getting
Yeah.
the counter all finished up, and then I also did full plumbing and electrical build out. I had some taco truck guys locally help me out with
Oh,
that,
that's
kind of just
sick.
figure out exactly how many watts I needed and what the psi for the pumps would work for the espresso machines. And
What was the startup cost? Because that's what I'm thinking
yeah,
too.
yeah. So the motorcycle itself got that for just under $7,000.
Okay. And
Um,
did you buy that during COVID?
I bought that right prior to COVID, actually.
Oh, okay.
So
So you already had the bike.
yeah, and like I recall people were starting to get sick, but there wasn't a full fledged
Yeah,
pandemic
yeah, yeah.
happening. This was maybe around
Okay.
January, February.
Yeah.
So I was
And
only yeah,
did you get a yeah? We'll get into that in a second.
yeah,
But I'm very curious on the financial analytics.
yeah.
Did you get any loans when you started up or?
So when it came to the motorcycle, no.
Okay, cool.
I paid for everything out of pocket. And it did cost a lot. It was probably, with the cost of the woodworking, the plumbing work, the espresso machine cost more than the motorcycle.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So I
How
run
much are
a
espresso machines?
oh um I run a Lar Marzocco GS3
Okay.
on the motorcycle. That thing costs I got a little bit of a better deal on it, but I think it retails for between 7,500 and 8,000.
What?
Yeah.
For an espresso machine? I did not
People
know
love
that.
espresso. If anything, the entire motorcycle, coffee shop, anything was just
Yeah.
an excuse for me to buy a really
Like
nice
a nice
espresso
espresso
machine for
machine?
myself and
Oh, an excuse.
validate that.
Wow.
Uh,
I didn't know that because I've seen. Have you ever seen that concrete espresso machine? Richie, I'll send
oh,
you a picture. Have you ever seen that?
I don't know if I have.
It's super small, but
Yeah.
it's like $2,000. So I was like, dang, that's so expensive. But now
Yeah.
you're telling me like, so what
Well,
about like that one back there? What
yeah.
does that go for?
So the machine I have inside my shop is one that I'm a huge fan of. It's a U.S. company based in
Okay.
Seattle called Mavam,
Okay.
Mavam. And this is the Mach 2. It's a 2-group head machine. It usually retails for a little over 15 grand.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know why that blows my mind. I just never thought like because I see
Mhm.
espresso machines all the time. I go to
Yeah.
coffee shops all the time. Never thought they were that expensive.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
have to admit, for the coffee shop, at least, I did have to apply for a small business loan
Yeah.
and get that approved. But that really just helped furnish everything,
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the
yeah. Do it
espresso
all right.
equipment. Because on top of the machine, you also have the different grinders you're using. I have
Yeah, all the tools.
2 Amphim grinders, one for normal espresso, one for decaf,
Yeah.
as well as I have another grinder for drip coffee. I believe that is a Malkoneg.
Okay.
And then then I have my drip coffee machine, which is a Curtis brewer.
Wow. That's very fascinating.
Yeah.
So okay, back to the bike then.
Yeah.
So you got the bike. Did you put in all of it up front?
Yeah. So
Was that I bet that
it
was that how terrifying was that like paying $7,500 and like being like, all right, we're starting a coffee
Yeah.
shop bike.
I mean, I've bought cars and motorcycles in the past, but I have to say it was definitely the largest financial project I ever sunk my teeth into, and it was intimidating to say the least. But I had a little bit of support with, both family and friends telling me that it was such an amazing idea and so cool to see something being built, especially when the only other option was being stuck at home. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure that was tempting for a lot of people, but I know I saw an opportunity to build something, especially when COVID started taking a turn for the worst. I noticed businesses closing down, and with that, there's definitely a fear. You don't want to start something when you
Yeah.
see everyone else potentially failing, and
Yeah.
but then the flip side of that is all these places are giving way to a new type of experience, almost giving room to
New growth.
for new growth and different people to have that opportunity. And so like me moving into this space here in Sugar House, this is phenomenal, and I don't know
Yeah.
if I would have been able to score this location otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did it take before you were like profitable? Like,
Oh yeah.
how long before, your initial investment kind of?
Well, it took about a full year
Yeah.
of running the bike, doing
Yeah.
different events,
Because you
multiple
also have
times
all
a week.
the
Yeah.
operating costs, the
Oh yeah.
coffee beans, the gas, the
Yeah. Yeah.
cleaning, the.
What I will say is, once I started becoming my own coffee roaster, that definitely helped expand
What do you
my
mean by
profit
that?
margin. So,
Coffee roaster.
um, during in the coffee industry, you have coffee shops which produce coffee like your latte, your drip
Uh-huh.
coffee that you would then buy. Um, a coffee shop has to buy their beans from someone.
Yeah.
That is the roaster, someone who procures green beans from different locations around the world and then meticulously roasts them.
So you do that now?
Yeah, so we do that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and that's like its own
Oh yeah, whole
animal.
process.
Seriously,
Yeah.
it's there was definitely a learning curve with that, but I think after around 1-2 months of just experimenting with it, with some really good pointers from our predecessors, Mindful Coffee,
Okay.
we were able to really isolate the flavors that we were going for with our coffee,
Wow.
and I think we have something really special that
That's
I think
cool.
is unlike a lot of coffee that you can find in other places in Salt Lake, if not all of Utah.
Yeah. So what percentage of coffee? Now I'm very curious. Like,
Yeah.
what percent of coffee shops are just buying their beans from a large manufacturer?
Yeah, I have looked into this a little bit. I don't know if I can give you an exact number,
Yeah, but
but
just something like.
primarily a lot of different coffee shops utilize the same coffee roaster. Usually
Yeah.
there are really big industrial ones nearby. But then there are other ones that are their own roasters as well.
Yeah.
You can find those around.
But would you
Um,
say out of like single either coffee shops would it be like 8 out of 10 or what?
I would say probably close to 6 or 7 out of 10 use someone else's beans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the minority probably
Yeah,
are their
yeah.
own personal roasters.
That's interesting.
But once you are your own roaster, the profit margins that you see just skyrocket because
Really?
you're paying about 50% less for your beans.
Interesting.
Which,
But what about the cost
yeah.
to roast them all?
well, that's mainly labor.
Yeah. Okay.
That's just a labor cost of putting in the work to roast those beans, and usually it's a hard job. We roast 1 to 2 times a week, and
Okay.
usually it's around an 8 to 9 hour roast.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes
How
like
many
a full
pounds
day.
of beans?
Usually around 50 pounds.
Dang.
Yeah, we have our roaster roasts around 11 pounds of beans per batch.
Okay.
So we're able to do that a couple times every so often and produce enough coffee for ourselves, for the motorcycle, as well as we have outsourced our coffee to other places.
That's cool.
Yeah, we supply the coffee for Mountain America Credit Union,
Oh, cool.
Google Fiber here in Salt Lake, the clothing brand Cool. They use our coffee. We brand theirs with their own branding.
Yeah.
They call it like Cool Coffee, and but it's roasted by Mindful Coffee / Urban Sailor Coffee.
That's
We're
sick.
looking to do a brand merger probably sometime soon. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. There's so much to the coffee industry. I would have
oh
never
man,
guessed.
I mean, like I've only really dipped, I guess all my toes in recently.
Yeah.
And
Did you know about all this before you got into it, or did you love coffee and just were like go into this, or did you
yeah,
know all this stuff?
I mean, like any high school, college kid,
Yeah.
love coffee.
Yeah.
Going to coffee shops. I worked as a barista since I
Okay.
was like 16.
So you had already dealt with coffee before.
Yeah, I would say my expertise in the creation of coffee and the
Yeah.
knowledge of coffee didn't really transpire until once I took it more seriously with the motorcycle. Then I started really delving into my own research and
Yeah.
really taking pride in my product. I would say I wasn't able to do a lick of latte art until like 6 months after starting the motorcycle,
yeah.
and after working as a barista every day, like you pick it up. So,
Yeah. No, that's sick. So how long did you operate the cart? And was this like a every weekend type of thing? But then yeah. So I'm curious how often like you operated the cart, and then how long before you were like, let's get an actual shop.
Yeah. So the coffee shop opened December 2022, and the motorcycle was operational in April of 2021. So it was about a full year and a half of
Okay.
doing the motorcycle essentially full time, before the shop was official.
Okay.
And that was a really big turning point to us.
I
It
bet.
was kind of something where it elevated what we were doing. It made it show that we took it seriously, and that
Yeah.
the motorcycle wasn't the end of
Well,
Urban Sailor.
yeah, and I bet I know actually why I do think, but I'm curious. Actually, from the business side of things, with
Hmm.
you having a place here, and I know you don't have your motorcycle in the back all the time, but when you
Yeah.
do, does that, because even me now, I'm like more like if I ever have a birthday party or whatever, I'm like
Mhm.
definitely hiring you guys to come out and
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
Does that bring, now that you have a place here
Mhm.
and people hear about the story, does that bring more clients for
It
the bike?
does. Yeah, it definitely does. We get offers to do private events for people pretty frequently.
That's
We
cool.
specialize in local markets.
Yeah.
We get invited to those very frequently. Farmers markets in the summer, those are fantastic for
Yeah.
us. We also do music festivals, not just in Salt Lake, but we also have traveled all the way out to Montana.
Really
That was for the Under the Big Sky Music Fest.
cool.
We were put into the VIP Copacabana section with all the artists that were going on
Oh, that's
stage, and
cool.
like high profile visitors
Who
that
did you see? Did you see anyone?
oh yeah, I mean, we were able to meet a lot of amazing artists, like members from Billy Strings,
Cool.
let's see, Orville Peck. These might be names that are familiar to a
Yeah.
couple people, but I'm trying to remember his name. Oh, it doesn't matter. But yeah, we've met some pretty
That's
high
cool.
profile individuals, not just with the motorcycle, but in the shop as well.
Oh yeah.
Like one of my favorite stories is we actually had Tony Hawk come in the shop pretty recently.
What?
Yeah, he was in town for
He's
some sort of skating event down
Oh
at the
yes,
fairgrounds.
yes, I
Yeah,
remember that.
and
He
he
came in.
Googled, best coffee shop in Salt Lake, and he showed up at our door. So,
What
um,
what did you like when he walked? Were you working or no?
so I was actually working the farmers market, and I get a
Bummer.
phone call, and oh my gosh,
What was it? Your
uh,
younger brother?
it was my
Your old-
younger brother,
Okay.
and thankfully my dad was there too.
Yeah.
He's around the same age as Tony Hawk, so he was he was
That's gotta be
beaming.
crazy.
Yeah, it was really cool. Probably one of my favorite experiences I've had with the motorcycle, and hopefully I can talk about this. But I was able to bring the motorcycle out to Moab for this cool motorcycle event, and without giving too many details, I was able to meet some really high profile A-list celebrities like Norman Reedus, famous from like The Walking Dead or
Yeah.
Death Stranding, and Keanu Reeves.
Oh what?
Yeah, so
Like a dirt biking type of event or no?
it was called Motos in Moab.
Okay.
It was uh, a mock recreation of an event that had been going on for the past couple years.
Okay.
It was a large motorcycle festival in the middle of the deserts of Moab.
Wow.
So what it would be is everyone would ride out and camp in the same spot,
Yeah.
and just kind of celebrate motorcycle culture together.
Yeah.
There'd be burnout competitions and races all the
Yeah.
time.
And do you hear about these events and you just show up, or do like people hire you to come out
Yeah,
there?
so with the motorcycle running coffee, I would need to be invited to do something like
Okay.
that. I have to clear it with different health departments
Yeah.
and stuff, make sure it's something I can do. But yeah, we got invited to that event, and this was a more privatized version of this festival because it was a recreation for
Yeah.
a filming of a TV show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's not out yet.
The episode comes out in March.
Okay, cool.
So that'll be really awesome to see.
Is your is
Yeah.
it in it?
Yeah, so it's gonna be
No way.
well, I shouldn't speak too fast because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't
yeah.
seen any clips of
Yeah.
the episode yet, but it'll be season 5, episode 1 of Ride with Norman Reedus,
Okay.
with guest star Keanu Reeves, and we're really excited to see how much of that we're in.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, it looks like you've definitely like, grown and worked yourself up and
Well, if you asked me, 2-3 years ago if I would be making a latte for Keanu Reeves, I would tell you you're crazy.
Yeah,
But
right?
it's really awesome seeing how things turn out.
yeah. I'm curious, what did you did you actually like you got to make the latte like for
Oh
him?
yeah, like
So did you meet him at all? Shake
if-
his hand or
if
talk
I
at all?
recall, he didn't actually have a latte. I made him and Norman Reedus 2 lavender cortados, which they were baffled by the idea of lavender in a coffee drink.
Yeah.
So that was fascinating. But they thoroughly enjoyed those. They came back for more.
Good people though.
Oh, yeah, fantastic people. Some of the coolest
Yeah.
people I've met. I mean, honestly, just so down to earth and chill.
Yeah.
They just were regular guys, and it
They
was a
definitely give off
pleasure
that
to meet
vibe.
them. Yeah,
That's sick. Oh, that's super cool.
yeah.
I had a question boiling on my head. It was about the shop.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, that was what I was curious about. So you said so you spent a year, doing the bike. You
Mhm.
started to become profitable, and then what was one? I definitely want to get in. I want to just for like 2 minutes. I just want to talk about the mindset, because I think a lot of people that's kind of where it's tough for people to get past
Yeah.
is fear.
Yeah.
I'd say fear is probably one of the most controlling emotions in any day society. But it holds people back from like doing what they actually really want to do. And I'm curious because I bet this was a very fearful thing to start up this, get a loan for it.
Oh yeah.
Is it going to work out? Is it a good spot? Is it this? Is it that? Is it this? Um, but what did you do in your mind and just like think back for a minute? Like, what did you do to kind of break past that fear of what if it doesn't work?
Yeah. Well, there have been multiple times in the past where I've had to second guess the whole idea. It's one of the more early sides of the bike, before I really had a concrete idea of where I wanted to post up. I was experimenting with different locations, and some of them would just not pan out, and I would be making like 1 to 2 drinks in like a full 6-hour day. And I'm like,
Wow.
this, what am I doing? Like, I
Yeah.
poured all my heart and soul into this, and like, I'm not seeing any return. But I think it's something where if you think that you have a good idea, you owe it to yourself to give it your all, because the only one that will prove that it's a good idea is you. And
Yeah.
you got to just kind of stick to your guns a little bit and try new
Kind of
things.
trusting
Kind of
yourself.
trust yourself and trust in the process. For me, it was just experimenting. If I knew one location wasn't going to work out for me, I would try to find another one. And then it's just a matter of, can I find a better location than this one?
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, I found myself just elevating the experience I was giving,
Yeah.
finding myself to higher profile clientele, till now have a full coffee shop. I'm serving celebrities, and
Yeah.
it's a dream come true, honestly.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that was the other thing I was going to ask is, well, actually, first of all, I'm curious, how long did it take to build out this? Because the booths were probably
Yeah.
not in,
No.
and that definitely wasn't in. So like, how long did it
Yeah.
take to build out?
It was probably a good 4 to 6 month build out, if I
Yeah.
recall correctly.
And you have to be paying for the lease, right?
Yeah, they gave me 3 months free on
Oh,
rent.
that's cool.
So, and that was for
Is
the
that a
build out.
common thing for?
In my experience, I mean, like, this is my first attempt at
Yeah.
a coffee shop, but it was something that was mutually beneficial, because for me, I was just coming in and out, painting the walls or the floor or building a bar or plumbing work. There's a lot that goes into getting a space ready to both have customers as well as to make the health department happy. So
Yeah.
you do have to figure out how to best serve your customers, as well as make the people that
Operate.
have
run
you
everything,
operate,
yeah.
make them happy. And it's a small balancing act, but I think I got a good formula for it.
Yeah.
It was this was a paint shop before, and gotta tell you, they did not leave a clean slate for me. The entire floor was just a mosh posh of every color you can imagine.
I bet.
The bar was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the bar was
Checkout desk.
yeah, it was like a
type thing?
checkout desk, like, and it was really cool because it was like a purple bar with the stainless steel top, and then they hand painted these really amazing portraits on the front of the bar. Like, it's like a starry night,
Yeah.
a cool landscape, a bowl of fruit. And I was just like looking at these works of art that are built into the bar. I'm just like, that's so sad. I don't want to have to
Yeah.
deconstruct these works of art. So um, it's a little funny hidden piece of knowledge, but just under my walnut boards here, I have a bunch of paintings just like
Oh, they still are
hidden
there?
there for, if there's ever going to be someone after Urban Sailor,
Wow.
they're going to have a little
That's
surprise
cool.
on their hands. Yeah.
Dang, that's really cool.
Little
Yeah,
hidden
that'll be
gems.
that'll be a super big surprise.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what was the other one I was gonna say? Oh yeah, the fear, back to the fear type of thing. So, we pushed past, and then going into starting this up, was that because did you do student loans, or is this your first like loan coming out?
Yeah,
Or?
so I have to say I never went to post high school education.
Yeah,
I was wanting
awesome.
to, I was going to.
I never made it out of high school, so
But all
yeah.
that money I had saved up to go into school that was going to, pay my way towards, I decided to just reinvest into the coffee shop. Got a small business loan to help kind of rough around the edges of like anything I couldn't quite afford
Yeah.
out of pocket. And at this point, we're actually doing exceptionally well.
What are the profit margins on a coffee shop?
Profit margins it should be around 70%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Mhm.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, like that is for us being our own coffee roaster.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that the product that you're selling is a high enough quality where you can, price something like a latte at $5.
Yeah.
And
But
yeah.
so even like, is it still 70% even with the lease and
all
all
yeah,
that stuff?
yeah.
Still,
So with all that, I would say
like cost of everything.
Okay.
Like if you did X amount in 1 month and then X was your cost, the
Mhm.
leftover, what percentage?
Oh, I would say we probably make about 20% net.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So I was 7%. I was like,
No,
that-
yeah,
so
sorry.
70%
like,
on
with
the
the
coffee
itself. Yeah, yeah.
And then if you were like not your own roaster, it would be closer to 60 or so.
Yeah, exactly. Like but that's just the cost of the beans that go into it, the milk, the cup, like
Employees,
yeah,
lights,
employees,
electricity,
exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, it's this is a relatively expensive neighborhood to post up in.
Yeah.
But I think it's also where some of the best clientele are. I'm right across the street from Sugar House Park, which
Yeah.
is one of my personal favorite parks in Salt Lake. It's large and open and has such a breathtaking view of the mountains.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Do you get more clientele in the summer or the winter?
The summer for sure. I would
Really?
say the fall
Okay.
is probably our busiest time here. That's when it's like cold enough where people are really
Yeah.
wanting that coffee,
Yeah.
but warm enough to where you're not wholly against going outside.
Yeah. And it's also like, I don't know, that Thanksgiving, Christmas type of vibe. You just
Yeah,
think like
yeah.
chai lattes or something. It's the go-to.
Yeah, but summer is really popping for us too. We're a big summer spot. That's when like ice drinks just pop off. And we don't do any, blended drinks. We don't do frappuccinos
Yeah.
or anything like that. But I have to say my Pebble Ice maker makes some of the most refreshing caffeinated beverages.
I was sipping on the Pebble Ice is the way to go. It's
So
the
good,
way to
so
go. I
good.
love Pebble Ice.
Yeah, that's another thing is, top dollar for an ice maker.
Yeah.
That was not cheap.
Yeah, what does Ice Maker go? Those are like 3K, right? Or no, higher?
I
3K?
I think it's a little higher. If I recall correctly, I think it was closer to $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
For an ice machine.
Mhm.
The only reason I knew they were really expensive is because
Yeah.
my aunt got one, and she didn't tell me how much it was, but she was just like so in love with it, and I was like,
Yeah.
it's just a ice machine, and then my mom was like, they're super expensive. I
It's
was like,
not just an ice
yeah,
machine.
it's not just an ice machine. Well, I would love to take the camera up and actually
Yeah.
see the process of making a coffee,
Yeah.
the brewing, because especially I'm very curious now with a machine that's 15,000. I don't know how much you
Yeah.
know about it, but like I just thought it was just hot water over.
Something I learned rather recently when I was getting some maintenance done on it. I had the maintenance guy who was just taking apart some components and cleaning them up, and he showed me this. It almost looked like a spark plug, and he's like, "Hey, you see this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's like covered in a little bit of like white hard water." And he's like, "Yeah, watch as I wipe it off." And he takes a rag and he just starts wiping off this white hard water, and it reveals this bright red, almost like stone looking thing on the spark plug. And I'm like, "Yeah, what is that?" And he's like, "That's a ruby. That's a ruby that has been drilled to be a funnel. And there's something
What?
about how rubies, I don't know, affect the alkaline content of the water.
So
Don't
there's
quote me on that.
rubies
There's
in.
rubies inside the espresso machine.
You're blowing my mind.
Yeah, so if you ever like wonder why it's so expensive,
There's just so much more that goes
yeah,
into
it
it. than you
runs on
think.
diamonds. That's why, and like it's
That's
pretty
sick.
cool. Yeah,
Well, okay, yeah. So can we make a
yeah,
espresso?
absolutely,
I'll
absolutely.
leave it up to you. Whatever you think that I would like. I like black. I like
Okay.
but I definitely want something flavor, even if it's well, I definitely want to brew something, but yeah, put something in it,
Yeah.
a flavoring, a lavender, whatever it is.
I'll
but
hook
something,
you up, my friend. I got you.
I want to try something cool. Okay, let's
Excellent.
we're gonna switch over. I'm gonna pause this. We'll switch over to. We're just gonna have normal camera audio. So for everyone watching, the audio is not gonna be as good for about 5 minutes. We'll get some cool B-roll, show you how an espresso machine works and how the ruby water brews this coffee. All right, we are in the. What do you call this? Barista space.
This is
studio?
the barista station. This is the
Station.
bar.
I like that. Okay, yeah. So we're in the bar. This is the. This one was
Yeah,
15.
so-
Yeah, you
yeah.
explain the machine. I want to hear more about the machine. And this is the. What is this one?
Yeah, so this is the Combi Brewer. This is a Curtis brewer with a Malkoneg GH2. This is essentially my grinder that I use to grind.
Oh, okay, the beans.
Yeah,
So the
any
on top.
beans for the drip coffee maker, or if I'm making grinds for people that come in, want me to grind their beans for them.
Cool.
Just goes right up top.
This is the machine we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's got ruby in it.
Oh, yeah.
That blew my mind.
This is a Mavam GS3, or sorry, Mavam Mach 2. Ugh, getting my machines mixed up. I have it run 22 gram portafilters, which that's a little larger of a puck size than most other coffee shops around Salt Lake.
Okay.
And that is part of kind of the secret as to why our coffee tastes so good. Is
It's
you
a
get
richer,
more of
more
that
coffee.
coffee flavor, you know. It's less diluted. Probably my double shot feels like 2.5. from someone else.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to make you a series of drinks. I'm thinking maybe start you off with a mocha, my friend.
Perfect. All right, this is the mocha. And what were you saying about the heat? Tell me about the heat. So the heat should be
yeah.
ready to go. If they're
So-
good. If they're a good barista.
Yeah, if they're a good barista, they should be giving you your drink, and you should be able to drink that no problem. You know, if you have sensitive teeth or something, that
Oh
might be
my
one thing,
gosh.
but that's not hard to drink, huh?
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's so
It
good.
should be ready to go for you. And you know, this is a little funny barista knowledge. Extra hot for a drink
Yeah.
is not really a thing. We will do that for you, but maybe it's good to understand that when you make a drink extra hot, you are burning
Changing the
it.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, you are essentially introducing more caramelized, lactose in the milk.
That
or,
blew my mind. That
you know,
the milk
Yeah.
caramelizes makes the milk sweeter
Yeah, exactly.
by changing the form of the lactose.
Like, you can, like a steamer is just, hot milk, maybe a little bit of vanilla, and it's delicious. And it's primarily for, kids or people that don't
Yeah.
like coffee.
No,
but
it's delicious.
yeah.
So what's the when I get if I go to like a normal like chain restaurant, I get a mocha.
Yeah.
Or like let's say Starbucks, I get a mocha. It tastes nothing like this, especially if I get it iced.
Yeah.
Or like even in a drink. Why is that? Like, is it their brewing process?
Well, it could be a number of things. There's a lot of different factors that go into making the end product.
Because I feel like also
yeah.
from other like chains, this is like so good versus like other ones are so sweet and sugary.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like,
There's-
I feel like do they add syrups and stuff to mochas usually?
Try, well,
Or
it
not even that.
depends. Like, you usually get what you ask for. Like,
Okay.
if you say you want
Cause I get an iced mocha.
vanilla peppermint iced mocha,
Yeah,
then that will be a lot sweeter for you. And, that's something that we would make for you as well.
Yeah.
But primarily, we try to keep to a really classic and concise coffee menu.
Yeah.
You can see that from what we have to offer.
Yeah.
We don't even list the flavors.
So is
that
this
we
a
have.
16 ounce?
That's a 12 ounce.
Oh, okay.
I actually don't have any 16 ounce to stay cups. I
Gotcha.
use to go cups, but obviously people are
Yeah.
more than welcome to stick around with those.
Oh well, that's
yeah.
good to know. Yeah, when I come in, this This is my go-to. This is definitely what I'm gonna get.
And that is.
What about oat milk?
Oat milk?
I've always wondered that. How does that? Because that doesn't have lactose, so
Yeah.
the milk profile is gonna be a lot different.
It will be different.
So, but you still do the same
What
process.
they do is what is reacting when you are steaming the milk is the fat, is like the lactose and the sugar. So those have been reintroduced to things like oat and almond milk with different products. They have their own fat and sugar content.
Oh, okay.
So it does.
It still works.
It does still work. Usually
Okay.
it's at a slightly different temperature. Like with oat milk, I find it reacts a little bit better, slightly under that
I would
margin.
figure, yeah.
While almond milk is maybe a bit above it.
Oh, interesting.
So it's really just finding that magic, point where the milk is reacting really well to what you're doing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. This is awesome. Plug the social media. You can just mention the social medias.
So you can find us on Instagram or online at Urban Sailor Coffee or urbansailorcoffee.com. We have merchandise available in our store, and we're
Do you
always
sell
putting
your
up-
beans online at all?
So I sell my beans online. You can either get those shipped to your house or just pick them up in store. That's primarily what we do.
Yeah.
But we have shipped our beans across the United States. So.
Yeah. If you're ever in Salt Lake City, Urban Sailor Coffee. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next episode. Cheers.
Hey, thanks, guys.